Image copyright Getty Images. U.S. President Donald Trump has backed a beleaguered Alabama Senate candidate who is accused of preying on teenagers. He pointed out that Roy Moore totally denies UAL misconduct with a string of teenage girls, including a 14-year-old, when he was in his 30s. "We don't need a liberal person in there, a Democrat," Mr. Trump said of next month's election. The White House previously said Mr. Trump thought the Moore allegations were extremely troubling. Senate candidate's accuser. "I was a child on Tuesday." Mr. Trump also assailed Mr. Moore's Democratic rival Doug Jones, who is currently ahead in opinion polls by 47% to 42%. Media playback is unsupported on your device. Media caption. Roy Moore: how Alabamans are defending the accused judge. "I've looked at his record. He's terrible on the border," Mr. Trump said as he left the White House for a 5-day holiday in Florida. He also voiced support for the scores of women who have felt emboldened to level UAL misconduct allegations since last month's downfall of Hollywood producer Harvey Weinstein. "Women are very special," Mr. Trump said. "I think it's a very special time. A lot of things are coming out and I think that's good for our society and I think it's very, very good for women and I'm very happy." Mr. Trump himself faced multiple UAL assault allegations during last year's election campaign, but he denies those claims. The Republican president's legislative agenda could be imperiled if Mr. Moore is beaten on the 12th of December. Republicans only hold a slim 5,248 majority in Senate. Yet a number of Senate Republicans, including Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, have called on Mr. Moore to quit the race. The 70-year-old former Alabama Supreme Court judge and firebrand Christian conservative has refused to stand aside. 7 women have accused Mr. Moore of pursuing UAL relationships with them when they were teenagers and he was a 30-something prosecutor. 2 of them allege he assaulted them. 2 other women who were in their 20s at the time accuse him of making unwanted advances. He denies the allegations. A political dilemma analysis by Anthony Zerker, BBC News, Washington. After having been burned by backing the establishment-endorsed candidate in the Alabama Senate primary over Roy Moore, Donald Trump isn't making the same mistake twice. His loyal supporters in Alabama largely continue to stand by the former judge, despite multiple allegations of UAL misconduct, and so does the president. Mr. Trump signaled his implied preference for Mr. Moore by condemning the Democrat, whom he says is soft on crime and immigration. It mirrors White House advisor Kellyanne Conway's warning of the dangers of electing a liberal to an important political office. It's a rationale not unlike the one used by some uneasy Republicans last year to justify voting for Mr. Trump following the Access Hollywood tape revelations and allegations that he had harassed or assaulted more than a dozen women. Yes, Mr. Trump's behavior was inappropriate, but electing Hillary Clinton as president would be much, much worse. Democrats face a similar dilemma with Senator Al Franken's admitted misdeeds. At what point must one put aside party loyalty and conclude that some alleged actions and actors cannot be condoned? For Mr. Trump, who notes that Mr. Moore has repeatedly denied the allegations, the line has not yet been crossed.